let's talk about this motherboard. So, it works, and I'm happy about that. Second of all, it's not the version with USB 3. There is a version of this motherboard that had USB 3. This isn't it. So, that's disappointing. Thirdly, it's only SATA 2. Now, SATA 2, that's a bit slow. 375 megabytes per second max speeds, that's a bit slow. But, I should say, it's not everything. Transfer speeds are not the be-all and end-all of a fast computer. Obviously they help, but what really matters is access times. Because the faster that you can find a file and put it in RAM for the CPU to do what it needs to do, the faster that your PC is going to feel. That's why SSDs, hands down, always beat a hard drive, because their access times are instant. Milliseconds of access times. But SATA 2, it's going to hold back the theoretical max performance of any SSD. But again, as I did say with USB 3 there, you have 5 gigabit per second through the PCIe Gen 2 by 1. Which means that you could put an NVMe drive in here. It would be held back massively, considering most modern NVMe drives want 40 gigabit per second at a minimum. But, as I just said, raw transfer speeds are not the be-all and end-all. You want access time, and an NVMe drive, that's going to have your access time. NVMe drives, especially Gen 4, the newer ones, they are clocked fast. And the controller chips in there, they are very happy to slow down to match the performance of the rest of your system. Which means that, yes, you'll be holding them back, but the internal clock speeds are still going to be giving you the access times that you need to make the system feel snappy, which would mean that an NVMe drive in this system would actually be a very sensible upgrade. But there is one more thing. The aforementioned CPU and PCIe compatibility. Without a Gen 3 CPU, the entire system runs at Gen 2 speeds. In fact, the PCH might also be held back even more with a second generation CPU. But, as I mentioned before, an i5 would make the most sense in this system, because I wouldn't trust an i7, especially with those VRMs. However, an i5 3570K only costs £10 British. So that's a good bargain. They were very expensive chips back in the day. Additionally, even with that CPU, I wouldn't trust the VRMs, so aftermarket cooling would be a good choice. But with that CPU, checking the motherboard's official manual, it has supports for DDR3 2133. That would be a very good matchup. That would be a very good matchup.